they're each looking for something different. It's not just a good man. They're each looking for something different. And what specifically? The Christian are going to look for somebody based on faith and direction from God. So fair thing is a little bit more meticulous and I don't want to say picky. Yeah, hers will be based more on specific values surrounding religion and faith. And then I don't know if denomination will be a factor, cause and then there's also a dynamic that is going to make it much harder for hers in terms of her criteria. So the dynamic those particular friends that you call is going to be different. Somebody who's in the world criteria will be different than a female who is in the church. What them a look for in a man. No, it's half and half. I somewhat agree with.
But there's no good men in Jamaica for true.
There are good men in Jamaica. It's just what some women are looking for is not what them consider a good man. And you see, what a good man is not the same for each woman. Some women are looking for a provider. Some women are looking for a provider with character, and then that character there, what that character is differ from woman to woman versus a Christian and somebody who's in the world. Somebody who's in the world, you have to look into factors like how was she grown, the environment she grew in help foster the kind of person she look for, the kind of, I have to look on them thing too, the kind of man them where her mother did a date. If they were men or man or sister them or auntie them, I'm learning that too, if you can actually start seeing a trend with the women in a particular family, the kind of man them what them go after, men that they go after. And if you talk to them and you hear what them say, and then sometime subconsciously they're not aware of it, they're not aware of it. If you reason with them and actually call it out, you realize that them stop and start check themselves and say, wait, I never think about it. Like you just ask them, so your sister with somebody, how long she with them? Them have kids, and you start questioning them something there. And then when you start asking her, she might see similarities. I say, so if our sister date a type of man, and let's say if she and the sister close and the sister confide in her, or they were living in the same environment and she see certain things, she might say, I'm not going to find a man because my sister go through that. But there's other factors, and this is going to be a touchy topic. Were there things where your sister lack where the man did a see but him realize, because a lot of persons don't want to approach things objectively. No look upon it as a gender no more, but as two individual that may look for specific things and them don't get it and them just separate. Your sister might just tell you, say, him do this. Let's say, for example, you're not living around them and you not see what happened in real time. You can automatically take your sister's side. Did your sister do something? Because me I learned say even with mothers sometimes they've been doing some shit that we don't aware of. And because we put them on a pedestal, we just automatically think say everything gravy with them good, when that might not be the case of a particular bridging and the mother in the education system. And when he become an adult, him start realize say him approach him father after becoming an adult, and him father said, no, me can't have the conversation with you. And each time when me hear a man talk, and this is the difference with a man and woman, a man not gonna reason with you and bash him, gonna say, yo, she just have them ways here, but me just never like about her. And rather than some men, especially the man them from, I say man born in the 70s and 60s, is not nowhere we are openly share. Them not go tell her, them probably just say to her 1 or 2 times, I'm not like this, and after a while him just dip. Especially if he's a man that have resources and means that him have access to a little change, him can get other woman, him not go put up with certain things. If him really rate her, he might verbalize it and say, you know, say I like such and such, and then her background play into part. So the particular individual should come from a traditional family where believe in education, get married. Him now, he never get her pregnant, and she wanted to hide the pregnancy from her mother because she come from a traditional family where she must marry and him something there. And what ended up happening is that she feel some kind of shame and did want to abort the baby. Secondly, she have other traits about her where did that turn him off. Now, it's not a right or wrong here, so it's a how that person, a mindset stay will contribute to the decisions that they make. Right?
So yeah, that's why I said some females are gonna have a hard time find men.
Yeah, but it's like the dynamic, a contributing factor, because all the time we look on just a gender and stuck with it. We look on it as two individuals, a man and a woman. This is how him look on things, this is how she look on things. You get me? And him end up because of access to resource and stuff. And there's a female dynamic. If the female attractive and have things going for her, don't think that they don't look on it the same way. Me not have to stay with him. But there's always a the seesaw effect. If he has access to more resource and stuff, then he might have more options. So it might be less likely to put up with certain things versus if it's the opposite. If she have more access to stuff, come from a traditional family where we're well off or she okay, she might not have put up with him. So him end up a dip. She end up have the one to this day. It's the only kid she have, which proved that the mother was right. But you know, she can't have no more. And to this day, she's not married. Because after that, she just focused on career. What if that one child end up a die along the way? Should have been left alone by herself. Take wrong or right, every decision come with, you can classify it as a consequence or a result of your action. So that could go back to, make a tie it in back to now, where some female now, I say, them I look for this particular trait. And that's why I say I take wrong and right. Because if this are just your criteria, nobody not gonna bash you. But you need to be realistic that your criteria might come with some ripple effect. And I think if we focus more upon ripple effect, it will help we make I'm not gonna say better decision. It will help we make decisions that can be more beneficial to in the future. What I realize is that you see, when it comes to those things, you can't stick to just one spectrum of the entire thing. You have to look on it openly. So firstly, if somebody's good with finance and stuff, chances are they might be an entrepreneur. If he's in the public space, he must have hygiene. People who are in the public space less likely to have hygiene problem. I'm gonna put a different shift, a different spin to that. I mean, I thought based on experience. Possibly. Let's say for example, you have a breath problem. It's a because I know a person who on a hygiene that does a condition, them have to do things to keep them under control. Once you're somebody with the public space, you have to focus on hygiene because nobody not going to want to walk in there if you think. So they're less likely to have a hygiene problem. You just shift it. Not even breath problem. And this is a realistic approach, a realistic scenario. Even if hygiene is the thing that is something they can work on, but watch this. This more likely is the case. You see some persons, especially some men who good with that aspect, you know, sometimes what end up happen, and this, I've heard this from female, they're boring. You see where I'm going with this, and this is realistic. So, let me finish. So, him good with finance and them something there, but he's boring. Him not like go out. Him not have no romantic gesture and all them something there. So, you know what end up happen sometime? She left that, or she end up seek that when lack in a somebody is temporarily. That do happen. So that more than likely the case. That part of him character where she look for, it's just not there. He's just not like that. And maybe him background contribute to how him stay, or he's just that. Now the other scenario put was where him have poor communication or poor emotional ties to the female. Now this is another shift. That's why I say, you see, when you peel away the layers when it comes to men and the psychology, a lot of things have been happening and we just not talk about it.
Men not talking.
Men or and women, generally speaking, nobody not talk about it. So if him have a withdrawn from the female name family, he could have been molested by one. And men don't like to talk about being vulnerable in a one position, even though they were a child. Because of how our society cultured. he could have been molested by one of them. And him have a disdain for the female and when him try to approach it, them shut it down and never give it a listening ear. So him just withdrawn from the whole of them. It could be something else. So it's not an excuse. And because it's not being talked about a lot, we just don't explore that there's multiple dynamic. It doesn't necessarily mean saying hate woman. Particular thing happen. One, him probably never grew with him mother. She left him with him auntie them. And maybe him auntie them used to take a bag of man will abuse him. There's other things that happen at the home. And him just no want to deal with them because they represent a trauma or bad memories what him no want to relive. There's always something there. So them things are not being explored. So it's not a red flag in the sense that him just hate woman just so. There's always a trigger. So it could be that, as me said, them molest him, or maybe not them, the man them, but them a care around him, or abuse him, or they were neglectful, they have other kids, and he represent a sister where they never like, but they was a take care of him because for whatever reason she either dead or she just wasn't around. I've had friends from primary school where their mother did leave them and travel gone overseas and left them with people out here, and things
that happened a lot back then.
That happened a lot back then. When the what's impacting our immigration now is the bag of runoff we used to go on, and the ripple effect is not just how it affects us generational afterwards in terms of how the immigration process is structured. It also impacts the mindset of some of the man them. Because the truth about it is that men in the West, well, men in Jamaica carry on trauma longer because it's not addressed. Some of us have find ways to deal with it, but it's still there. You don't really deal with it 100%. So, for example, one particular virgin from primary school, he used to every now and again, when we were reason, when we were younger, he used to bring it up. I could hear it in his voice. She left him with him grandmother and him auntie. And then was the grandmother and auntie used to just Lego picnic on the road for do a go and all kind of things. So he wasn't a bad child, but every now and again he get in a little trouble, nothing too extreme. So the mother wasn't around. He don't have that emotional attachment to his mother. And then because the auntie them kind of Lego him about the place, he never have no structure being around them. So maybe when him grow, him don't associate women with structure because of how him grow.
Okay.
It might not deliberately.
That's a different perspective.
That different perspective, but it exists. That's why I say it's multifaceted. So it could be a case where, and sometimes deliberately go the direction that it helps form your psychology, your subconscious, or how you view women. Some men now will see the deficiency because and it takes either you have somebody around who older and willing to listen, or you can vent or share. They see the deficiency and them try to correct it. It could be an older male friend or this particular individual. Him eventually the transition overseas, and immediately I think he got directly at the army, the military. So he didn't even stay around her long because he never have an attachment. And I think she did have some, I don't know, she have some issues that him and her just never get along. And I think a part of it is because he grew out her sight. The military helped provide structure for him, luckily.
Okay.
And what it happened is that it started show the emotional unbalance him have with not being around her. So you see, there's multiple perspective in terms of, but we only lean to one to say Jamaican man does toxic kind of business, but again, we just now look on the psychological part, how they were growing up and all of them factors there.
So Jamaica is full of men walking around with childhood trauma.
A lot, more than we actually choose to acknowledge. It's not an excuse, it's a fact. And if we try, which is why I think if we focus more and try to understand why the person stays so. And I think sometimes the moment when somebody can bring it to them for them to acknowledge it, it might start them on the path and maybe even change, Some persons are capable of picking it up, not tooting my own horn like myself, or we see some deficiency when we grow up I would try, I'm going to use the word try, to correct some of them. So basically, there are multiple factors that contribute to the psychological development or breakdown of men in Jamaica as it relates to the type of men we become, how we become fathers, how you might be selected or not selected by what females are looking for in terms of their criteria. And of course, each criteria is different for a woman, whether she's what you call in the world or in the church. So there are extenuating factors, multiple, that can contribute to the kind of man you might buck up as a female.